All right. Oh, let's wait. Patrick, I will wait to call. Oh, I'm being bad, I know. Hello.
Oh, I'll scoot mine up so I don't get chastised.
Yeah, talking to your mic.
It's intentional on our part.
Exactly. Hey, Ben. Hello. How are you? Good. All right, it is 7:02. I will now call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. If I could have a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Jean. Now that we have that, are there any changes, additions? Barbara, anything?
Yes. We should, or I suggest, we table the discussion of tap fees.
Yes,
Item
agree.
B under new
Agree.
business.
We have a little more homework we want to do on
A
that.
little more market research.
Exactly. So we're going to scratch that. Any other changes? Hey, Patrick. I'm going to do a little offside here. I can do that because I'm running the meeting. Yesterday morning, here I was reading the New York Times, and I was reading this amazing article about this artisanal creamery in Vermont that makes this clarified butter, and she sells it at $60 a pound, and she only sells it to 6 restaurants in the country. Skip forward about 10 minutes of reading, and guess what one of the 6 restaurants is? Yeah.
A small
Bob,
family
I was just commenting, I had sent you the article from the Times. You probably had already seen it, but I had to just say that because that was just a great article. You should all go pull it up. Artisanal Creamery in Vermont. Read the story. Okay, back to the meeting, please. Any more changes, additions, anything to the agenda? Okay. Brad, are you good with that one change?
Yes.
Jean, you're good? Okay. May I have a roll call vote to approve the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
I'm sorry.
We tabled the tap fees.
Okay.
Because we need to do more homework. Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. We have the minutes from the May Town Council meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second? I'll second.
Thank you. Any changes, revisions?
Oh, I'm good.
Very good.
If there aren't any changes, shall we, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do a roll call vote. I just was giving Patrick a minute to look at them. Any corrections, Patrick? Okay. Any other corrections,
No.
No?
Nope.
Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
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 You. Reports. Needless to say, there's not a mayor's report. However, in Fred's absence, I do want to acknowledge, and we will be honoring her at the July meeting, but she's not at this meeting, but I did want to say something about Mary Ann, who is having to resign from the town council because of having to move out of town, even though it's only, 3 miles away. As of June 30th, she will no longer be on the town council after 17 years of service to the town. I think it was 12 years on the town council, and before that on the planning commission, and 25 years total living in town. So needless to say, even though I'm sure we'll see her around, she'll be missed.
Maybe we can just adjust the boundary line.
That's a good idea.
Why? Why?
So we will be, as I said, honoring her at the July meeting. You have the treasurer's report. The only thing that looks very odd is the repairs for the month on the wastewater treatment plant at $172. But that's because Barbara has coordinated with Brad and the entire world, doing all of the water meters, taking care of everything when the inn is closed, so there's no disruption anywhere. So I just thought, in case that stood out at you.
In other words, be prepared for the statement next month.
Yeah, be prepared for the next one. I don't see anything unusual on the bills to be paid to point out, so if you have any questions, otherwise I'd like to I will make a motion to accept the bills to be paid. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You? Any questions? Okay. Roll call vote on the bills to be paid.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. If anyone has any questions on the treasurer's report, you can just ask me after the meeting. We can go over anything. Okay. Really, got my schedule here. Hey, Mr. Krim?
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. I have two items to report on tonight. As you mentioned, with the resignation of the Vice Mayor effective June 30th, there comes a time when you have an opportunity to appoint a citizen to the vacancy. That time period is 45 days, starting on the day of the vacancy, which is July 1st. So that means that up until August 14th, the Town Council has the authority to make an appointment to fill the vacancy. After that time, the Circuit Court has that appointment. And then in terms of appointing a new vice mayor or electing a new vice mayor, that is something that the council can do at any time effective July 1. That even tonight, if you wished.
Thank you.
And ready to answer any questions, Council Mayor.
Okay, thank you. You have the zoning administrator's report in front of you. Barbara, is there anything that you wanted to point out, review?
There's a couple of things. I'm going to be a good person. Okay, Steve wanted me to share that he has, or he expects to receive the Rush River Commons site plan tomorrow. We had received a partial submittal, and the rest is expected tomorrow. He has sent out the initial site plan that he got to, there's like 6 or 7 agencies that need to see it, the Department of Health, VDOT, so he sent those out. We've set up a Dropbox for all the agencies to be able to communicate there to enter in their comments. So it makes it a little bit more easy to manage. He has received the site plan for the patio as parking lot, so he is currently reviewing that now for comment. He expects that 2 applications will go before the Planning Commission. They have canceled their June meeting, and they're now going to meet July 15th. The 2 application, one is for a special use permit at Cook's Cottage, which is an in property on Main Street. And the other is an in application to vacate the lot lines here at the corner of Middle and Gay Street. So both of those are expected to go before the Planning Commission, July 15th. Depends on, how quickly they act on that. After that, it comes to Town Council then for a vote. The SUP will require a public hearing, so you'll need to be able to approve the public hearing, and we'll advertise for that. There is a sample in the zoning report of a schedule that he came up with that he's going to start to use for any applications that require multiple steps and multiple boards to be involved in. So there's one in there for the Cook's Cottage application. So, it's a draft of here's when it should go to Planning Commission, here's the Town Council, here's, it requires X, Y, and Z. And then he takes that and he reviews it with the applicant. He has also updated all of the applications. They're all approved except for we're waiting for comments from the ARB on their application. And he has done a fantastic job with these applications. Mm-hmm. In addition to the application itself, as far as collecting information from the applicant, he now has on there, all the documentation that's required is a checklist for them, so that when they're submitting their applications, hopefully, we're getting a complete packet the first time. Then it also has, as part of the packet, the deadlines for submitting applications. If you want to appear before the ARB on this date, this is the cutoff to get the application in. Same thing for the Planning Commission and Town Council. So that's all part of the packets. I'm working on getting those into online fillable form. I'll post them then to the website so people can print out a paper copy if they want, or they can fill them out online.
Great, thank you, Barbara.
Sorry, I'm not done.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh no, I lied. I am done. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Barbara, part of this, did he set a standard for what we expect as far as a timeline for approval? I see that what's laid out here, but is that just sort of made up based on this particular instance, or is it a?
So that schedule is based on that application, and he'll
Okay.
do one for each individual application. There is general timelines as far as, he has X number of days to respond
Right.
to an application once he deems it complete. So there's those timelines, but there's not a generic schedule.
That may be something we want to take up at a later date, but say 60 or 90 days. I don't know why we would take more than 90 days to approve an applicant in the future, but
It depends.
Mm-hmm.
If,
I'm saying once it gets through Steve.
Oh,
It's a longer discussion for us
Yeah.
to have later.
Yeah,
but
we
this
can
seems like a
discuss that
4-month
later.
process that's maybe a little long on process.
Yeah, I think when you're
A little
dealing with,
short on,
when
yeah.
you're dealing with public hearings and things like
Yeah,
that.
right, I
and so
understand,
we
yeah.
can have a meeting with Steve on that.
Did you have a
And
question?
the schedule really is out of date since the Planning Commission isn't going to be meeting June 27th. So none of these dates is really applicable.
yeah, they just told us today that they weren't meeting in June. And he encouraged them to meet before the fourth Monday in July, to not push it back that far. So that's why they're going to have the special meeting on the 15th.
Good,
Just to catch up.
yeah. Public Works Committee.
So as Barbara hinted, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do a broad installation of a new set of meters in town, and the part of this is, it'll just not just be the commercial properties in town, but also residential properties, but sort of decided to move in a different direction with the technology that was available to us, so that we're moving to a radio, I'll call it a radio system just for simplicity of explaining it, but it'll allow us to constantly monitor the end-to-end of the system. So we'll be able to see leaks, et cetera, when they happen, rather than waiting for our meter reader to happen to go around. It will also eliminate the need for our meter reader. automatically report to Barbara's computer every day exactly, or constantly, what the flows of water are in town, and also help us in the long-term management of just how much water is moving. In addition to that, it seamlessly lines up with the new billing software, so it will not, she can just export directly into billing and print out all the bills and get them on their way, so it's really wonderful. One little addition to that, unfortunately, is that we're going to have to add what appears to be a lightning rod to this building. Figuratively, not literally. Vanna White, Brad will, so that plan is if the ARB approves it, this would be added to the rear of the building, so you wouldn't really notice it too much. But that would be the receiver for the entire town's water meter system.
And the way these work is that what's called a mesh network. So when we do the installation, we're going to start with in properties that are closest to this building, and then we build outward. And as you keep adding, then these individual meters will join the mesh. And this way, you don't have to have a meter that has to transmit from all the way down Main Street back to here. It literally can it jumps and passes its information through so that it gets into the network. But this is as big as the whole thing is. This is the actual unit, so you can see it's not going to really be offensive to get the approval of ARB to put this on the building. And we're doing it here because we have internet access, the main reason, and all of this operates through the internet.
It's central in the town.
It is central to the town. When we talked to them initially, we thought we may need to use 2 antennas, but the feeling is that this should allow us to use just one, and potentially we may be able to add communication device at the pump house, as well as possible some instrumentation at the water tower. So that way we can gather information from both of those places and see if we're pumping water, but it's not going into the tower, or the tower is changing levels and we don't have a, matching usage. We know that there's something up with the whole system. So it's going to give us more security for our water system overall.
And in the long run, save us money
Exactly.
from administration.
Yeah.
So,
And just being able to monitor it so that you don't have to wait for, 3 weeks and you go walk in your backyard, or you go.
As
see
someone
somewhere.
who's experienced that particular
Yes,
accident while on
exactly,
vacation,
yes. Yes.
Yeah. And these are state-of-the-art meters, and we've changed the brand that we were started out with because of, as so many other companies are encountering, the availability of certain microchips. There's a difficulty with the other company that we were using. We were facing a, 36, 38 week
45 to 50-week back order. Because the chips are coming from China and India. These chips come from California. It's all U.S. made.
Yeah, this was a U.S.-made meter, so, again, and it's a meter.
It's even better.
Yeah, well, and some of the technologies that we're integrating is matching up with some things that are being done in Europe and stuff, so a very good quality meter. So, again, we think we're making the right decision moving this forward. It's going to be better for the whole town, the whole system.
Great.
What's the timetable?
We're going to start implementing some of these new meters the week of July 4th.
No, the last week in June.
Last week of June.
We're going to start, and then we're going to, the inn is closed the week of July 4th. So we're going to do all the inn properties that are affected by guests while they're closed, and then just work our way from town hall out. And I'm hoping the project will be done mid to late August.
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been a long overdue
Some
project.
Mother Nature to cooperate.
Yeah, well, that too, yeah.
And Barbara's
Summer
had her
thunderstorms.
thumb on the project.
Yeah, and part of the reason starting with the inn properties is that it'll allow Barbara to also start bringing the software online and not get bombarded with a full accounting system. But there'll be a small number, then we just keep growing it outward from there. So,
That's it.
Thank you. Barbara, we don't have anything from the Planning Commission or the ARB. Nobody's here. Okay. Scratch those off.
I can tell you the ARB is meeting tomorrow. They've got 4 applications that they're reviewing. In addition, they're going to be voting on changing the date that they meet officially. Currently, the plan is the second Tuesday of the month, but that may change. And they're also going to have a discussion about the historic guidelines.
we just talked about putting this antenna. Is that one of their issues that they're going to be talking about?
It's,
Yeah.
you're first on the agenda.
Okay,
I'm planning to come, so.
okay.
It's
So
7
I'm
o'clock,
not
7 o'clock
planning
tomorrow
on coming
night.
because
7
you
o'clock
were
tomorrow
coming.
night?
Exactly.
Okay.
Barbara, you're excused.
7 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll try to remember to come over, so.
All right. To old business, the budget.
Hey.
All right, we went through the public hearing. There weren't any red flags raised, any questions. I didn't really receive any questions on it.
And this is just the vote on final passage.
This is just a vote on the final passage, so if I could have a motion.
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Voice vote, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
done. Thank you. All right. Item B, we held the public hearing for the bulk water rate. So now you have the ordinance in front of you that's been drafted for final approval and signature.
Oh, wow.
What was it before? Did we have it?
15.
It was 15, so we just bring it to 5. Okay.
I'll move we approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor by voice vote?
Yes.
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 Thank you. And that later. Next is the resolution to release funds quarterly. And we had reviewed this so that instead of wasting the time on approving bills to be paid and everything, many towns, as Martin has said, just do a quarterly release of budget. So,
And this, you'll
Well-
still report
exactly.
every month on what the
Yeah,
expenses are.
yeah,
We'll just say,
you'll
we'll
still
just
get- You'll still
vote
get
to
my
release the funds.
report.
Yeah.
This just allows us to pay all of these small vendors who live from paycheck to paycheck so that when Barbara gets a bill, she can just pay it. I mean, she has to find us because we still have to sign it. So all of the safety things are all in place. And this will, we're going to vote on this, but it doesn't go into effect until the July meeting. So in July.
With the new budget. With the new budget.
Yeah, with the new budget, you will then, we'll put this into effect. All right. Council appointment. As Martin said,
You have to vote on that.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm moving too quickly. See what happens? Try to never let me sit here again. Okay, do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second?
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. Now, council appointment. One's information, one's action. But under council appointment, please pass the word to everyone that lives in town that we need one more seat on the town council with Mary Ann leaving, so we will be out looking and beating on doors, right? To find somebody to replace her.
So it was decided at the last meeting that applicants should submit their letter of intent by July 6th.
By July 6th, okay,
Also remind folks that if they want to file to run, they can still file by the 21st
right,
to take up a full term.
right. And secondly, under council appointment, on Fred's behalf, I'd like to make a nomination as vice president for Joe.
I'll
effective-
take vice mayor over
Vice mayor, vice president, vice mayor. I know. What did I called Fred something the other day, not mayor, or I called myself something. So, vice mayor, effective July 1. Correct, Martin? Yes, July 1. I would like to make a motion that we appoint Joe to be vice mayor effective July 1. Comments? Other thoughts?
Need a second?
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
He be running for mayor?
I will.
I think he's already filed, that's the rumor. So do I have a second?
Dude, you already.
Brad?
Oh, okay. Voice vote, please?
Yes.
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 I'll abstain.
You'll abstain. Oh, good. Okay, that was good.
Thank you.
All right. New business. The only thing we have is the discussion of zoning fees. We are not voting on anything tonight except authorizing Barbara to advertise for a public hearing in July.
And I can answer any questions you may have.
Yes, Steve did a wonderful job of updating all of the zoning fees. He went to a lot of the local governments, including I think he did the county, the Plains, Marshall, Middleburg. So he did a lot of comparisons to come up with these, and to have them all organized by category is going to be very helpful to everybody, so.
Yep.
Really, if you have any questions, we'll do any Q&A right now on anything you might have. If you're fine with it, we'll just go to the public hearing.
I was just wondering, excuse me? I was just wondering for the rationale for the changes. Because some of them aren't changed at all, and then some are much higher. And I just want an explanation of how that was decided.
Sure. The mouth calculations that were used were kind of a combination of the going market rate for surrounding areas, and then how much time does Steve spend on any particular zoning task, and how much do we then pay him for that versus the fees that we collect for that application. So for an example, just a standard zoning application for Steve to review it, a minimum of 1 hour, we were charging $65, which does not cover 1 hour of his time. So the more complex the review, obviously the higher the rate. But still not where this is a profit-generating revenue source. It's really to just cover costs incurred.
As much as possible.
We've got the month to digest it and think of some smart comments, et cetera, and come back next month and discuss it at length, right?
Yeah, because we're going to have the public hearing.
Right. Some are pretty stiff.
Any other questions, comments before we do a motion authorizing Barbara to advertise for the public hearing? No? Okay. Then I will go ahead and make the motion authorizing Barbara to advertise for the public hearing for the zoning fee schedule.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Barbara, you're all set. Public forum.
My name's Joe Percone. I'm an attorney at Mark Williams and Associates. We're a law firm in Warrenton. I'm here on behalf of the Inn. I wanted to make a quick comment. Recently, the Inn received communication from the town regarding the stop sign by the cafe and the inadequacy, as alleged by the town, of that sign, and that it created a public nuisance, and the town threatened legal action if they failed to comply with the town's requests. I'll start by saying, in my view, there is no town ordinance or Virginia code provision that permits the town to regulate or force a private individual, private business, to put up, establish a sign or graphic signs, nor would I agree that it is a public nuisance. The definition of a public nuisance, it has to be an immediate and imminent threat of some sort of bodily harm or death. There is a stop sign there. Inn has viewed surveillance footage, and every single person has come to a stop at that intersection. However, despite that, the town has received a threat, legal action, without anything predicating that threat. That was the first notice we received as far as the adequacy of what exists at that intersection outside the cafe. I think the tone was inappropriate in communication from the town. It's threatening, and I don't think that's the correct way to notify private business of what the town perceives as a problem. My question for the council would be, who authorized this communication? And if you aren't familiar with communication received from the town, it was a letter from the town attorney directed to Mr. Fass about the sign. And I think it's been discussed. Hopefully most of you are familiar. If not, I have a copy of it here.
I'm not aware of who authorized that communication. I think that both the mayor and myself, and I speak ahead of turn, I suppose, of my July appointment, have, when we became aware of the communication, made it clear to the Inn that did not reflect the will of the council. Further, I think we're prepared to move that going forward, our attorney will not communicate without the explicit with residents of the town on such legal matters, or with any company in town or establishment in town without the explicit authorization of the mayor or the vice mayor, unless there's reasons I can't even imagine at this point. So we will make sure that the staff is clearly instructed going forward, and apologize again for the tone of that communication.
That's a good structure moving forward. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. But going forward, sometimes it's good to know precisely how something happened. Council, town, and the inn are entitled to that information.
My understanding is that the town administrator was contacted by a resident who raised the issue, or a couple of residents that raised the issue, notified the town attorney of that, of the fact, attempted to contact the mayor, was unsuccessful in doing so. Then the town attorney, viewing it as a potential liability for the town, took the action of writing the letter. That's what I understand from my investigation of the issue after I was made aware of the situation by the inn. And
So we're faced with a situation that any town resident can take steps to create half of the town, which is,
I agree with you. I agree with you. That I don't think that there's a situation where the town should be allowed to be drug into a legal matter by the action of a resident. I mean, of course, we want to reflect the will of the residents of the town, but that's something that needs to be taken up by the elected representatives of the town, and that's why I think Fred and I are in agreement that going forward, this sort of thing would not happen because it just simply would not be authorized, at least I think for either of us while we're in the chairs. And we can adopt that, I think, as included in a formal instruction voted on by this council. I see no reason. Any matter that's going to be communicated to a resident or a entity in the town will have to have the explicit approval of this council as a body, or by the mayor or the vice mayor in the case of emerging issue in between meetings. Because I agree with you absolutely, Patrick. We shouldn't allow an issue to potentially put the town in the middle of litigation based on incidental reporting without the full facts laid out in a public manner.
exactly.
Martin, is that something that once we close the public forum that we can go ahead and put into a motion?
Of course.
Okay. So we'll do that at this meeting.
Could you also take steps to remove the signs that say four-way on the three public streets, because that's not accurate?
We'll have to consult with VDOT about that, but I'm sure that can be cleared up. 'Cause
Or
those
you could put something up over them like some burlap bags right tonight, because people think,
No, I don't
No,
think.
we have to
would
clear with
They're
VDOT.
VDOT
yeah,
signs.
but-
Yeah, they're not town
But we should be able to
signs, it's
address
VDOT.
it tomorrow. We have a
Yeah,
good
we
relationship
can-
with the
we
local
can-
VDOT rep.
We can deal with
so,
that
Yeah, that's a
tomorrow at the
manageable thing.
office.
So for the sake of clarity, are we to assume that the individual contacted you, Barbara?
There were 3 different individuals that contacted me. One was a county resident, one was a town resident, and the third was a member of council. That vehicles coming out of that side of patios did not stop and almost caused an accident for them. At that time, this kind of goes back to 2 weeks ago, and I know that Fred had a verbal conversation with Bob regarding the stop sign, and Bob had indicated that something was going to be put up. And
And it was after that conversation.
yes, the
Yes, the
temporary sign that's
it's there
there
now.
currently.
Yep.
Lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just wanted to
So I
clarify
had a conversation with Martin based on that feedback. I also had a conversation with Fred. Fred was traveling this week. I had asked for feedback via email on Monday on if there should be any next steps. I had not heard back. And then subsequently on Thursday and Friday, I called and left a voicemail. I sent a text and 2 emails. I didn't hear anything back. My conversation I have a standing call at 3 o'clock on Fridays with Martin. He suggested that it wasn't something that could wait for the mayor's response. At that point in time, I contacted the treasurer and asked for what should be my next steps. And then I told Martin.
That's what I wanted to clarify when I raised it with.
From my participation in all of this, it was merely accepting phone calls from people who had concerns about there not being a stop sign and them, an accident almost happening, and I shared that information. I didn't make any decision on.
Situation and issue here than one stop sign. And I think that's a minor portion of the discussion we should be having. And it is really about finding a way to move forward in a neighborly, reasonable manner with the largest property owner and the biggest taxpayer in the community. With respect on both sides. So we have come a long way with previous administrations in terms of creating a harmonious relationship. This was a setback, definitely, to that effort. I think Bob has worked very hard in the 6 years he's been here, during which time there was never a stop sign there, to meet with people personally, individually, socially, something I never really had enough time to do, and to pave the way for a neighborly relationship. And we look back on how far we've come. My life has been threatened here on numerous occasions. I have, my partner, by the town government, was arrested for no reason whatsoever. We have a very unpleasant history with a town that was unaccepting to our existence for various reasons. But that hopefully is behind us. So we have some new people who don't know any of the history or what went on here. And I think it's important that they learn and how vital it is that these two entities work in tandem, in harmony, and collaboratively. Because if we don't do that, we have a major problem. So, disguising the names of the complainers doesn't clarify for us. If someone calls us and complains, we deal with that issue. We deal with them as a neighbor, and we try to resolve it harmoniously, equitably, and reasonably. So we can't do that if we don't know who's upset or who is using town government to act out possibly their own personal vendettas toward the end. So it would be helpful, whether it's privately or publicly, to discern who is unhappy with the stop sign.
I don't know. Should be shared publicly or?
You can privately.
I think privately.
Privately, the one who's a town council. So it was also disturbing that we had not an entire meeting, but we spent a good deal of time at a previous meeting discussing that we did not wish for the council members to directly go to our town officials, particularly our town attorney and our town zoning administrator, without the unanimous consent of the council and or the mayor. It was, 3 months ago that discussion was held. And now that's being ignored. And we're using the town attorney for personal reasons. The sad thing is, as our attorney just pointed out, you're legally in the wrong. It's a private street, privately owned, and you cannot mandate a stop sign. We're happy to put one there. I'd also like to say that before any of you at this table came to town, there was no corner. It was wide open asphalt, completely there. There was a defunct station, a service station on one side. And people tore through and rounded the corner off more each year till it was just almost impossible to cross the street. Meanwhile, all the cars parked, both in front of the post office, in front of our building, the inn, backed out into oncoming traffic. It was a terrible situation. So we spent 1 year negotiating with the State Highway Department to regain control of that corner of the town center and give it back to the church who technically owned it. And then we put a fountain there. It was $85,000 to place the fountain there, brick around it. You create a bench, a little town square in miniature. All to make the town more pedestrian friendly and safe. We've tried to create a crosswalk. We hope to create 2 more crosswalks. The safety of our staff and guests is paramount to us. And if there is a problem, guess who will be sued? Probably not the town. We will be, as we have been many, many times before. So we have the same concerns. We're in the same situation. So to act as though we are the enemy in this whole thing is preposterous.
I think when we close the public hearing, then we will, I think, put in the motion exactly what Joe has said, so that we have some real guidelines for everybody moving forward.
Perhaps and the town citizens as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we'd like to make it very clear that we are accessible 24 hours a day as a business. If anyone has a problem or something they'd like to discuss, please call and we'll handle it and deal with it.
I would add that I think Fred has the same experience I certainly have. And if I called Bob about something, whether it was on the weekend or whether it was out of town or for some other reason, because of this issue, so take care of it. And certainly, we not make it easy dealing with water and sewer issues from our side. So I have the experience to that, and that a very, I think, very good relationship. And Bob has been very quick to respond if we have an issue or something. So.
And we appreciate that very much, very much. And both your responses have been helpful and much appreciated. But I think it's important to get the message out that the inn is an integral part of the community and wishes to be thought of that way.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Any other comments? Nancy, do you have anything for us today? Nothing? Okay, I will close the public forum. And now we will add to the agenda.
Madam Treasurer, I'd move that we amend the agenda, add new business, instruction to the town staff regarding correspondence of a legal nature to residents or organizations in the town of Washington. I'll need a second.
Second.
Yes.
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 Yes. I move the town adopt a resolution that makes it clarify, we'll work on the language post haste, but that instructs the town staff shall not communicate with residents of the town or entity or companies or other entities in town on legal matters without first consulting with the full council, if time allows, or at a minimum with the mayor or vice mayor if the full council, if action is needed in the near term, and that no communication shall happen until one of those two, to either one of those two stipulations is met.
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Yes.
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 Good. Right now we've got a true line of communication that's done in writing. Great. Thank you. Now we're going into closed session.
Okay. The form of the motion would be that the council enter closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711A7 for consultation with the town attorney concerning adjustments to the town boundaries of specific legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice. Somebody needs to move that.
Yeah. Want to move?
I so move.
I'll second.
All those in
I
favor?
didn't mean to steal your thunder.
Yes.
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 Barbara, please stay.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to ask that we amend our motion to ask the town administrator to remain.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Okay.
Second.
Yeah, we're in closed session. The Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only those items not named in the motion to enter closed session were heard or considered by the town council, and the closed session just ended.
I so move. Do you have a second? Those in favor, roll call?
Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. The only other item I have is to make a motion to adjourn.
I so
no,
move.
Don't we have the resolution on staff talking to the attorney?
Oh, we did that already.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
I so move.
Okay. All those in favor, roll call?
I second.
Yes.
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 Yes.